Hello everyone, how are you guys? My name is Akash Dev and currently I am doing hashtag 30 days of talking to camera challenge, and today is day 29th of that 30 days of talking to camera challenge. Yesterday I didn't record my video because I was not feeling well. I was not feeling like doing anything. I was feeling very lazy, and today after procrastinating for 8 hours straight without 8 hours not doing anything, now I am recording this video. Only 2 more days to go to complete this challenge, and that makes me feel happy, but I don't think I have made certain progress or any progress in my speaking skills or my English skills. So that's why I have decided that I would continue making the videos, but let's see what happens, because I'm not sure whether in future I would be able to record the videos or not. And if you don't know me, I would recommend you to go and watch my previous videos. There I have talked a lot about me, like in my first 4 to 5 videos, and yeah, that's all. And now let's talk about a topic. So what I would be discussing in this video. In my previous videos I have talked about like some steps of algorithm designing process, what are different types of algorithms, and in the previous video I have talked about brute force algorithm, and today in this video I'll be talking about greedy algorithm. So what exactly is greedy algorithm? Greedy algorithms are generally used to solve optimization problems, to find the solution that minimizes or maximizes any certain thing. It may be cost, it may be weight, it may be profit, it may be count, it could be anything. In greedy algorithms, solution is constructed through a sequence of steps. At each step a choice is made which is locally optimal, and we always take the next data to be processed depending on the data set which we have already processed, and then choose the next optimum data to be processed. Now what I am trying to do here is, in greedy algorithm, suppose I have been provided with a very big problem. Now I will like first solve a little portion of the problem. Based on that data I will find a optimal solution. Now I will include more data in my previous data, and now I will find more optimal solution, and in this way I will cover the whole data and find the most optimal solution. Greedy algorithm does not always give optimal solution. For some problems, greedy algorithms gives an optimal solution. They are useful for fast approximation. Greedy is a strategy that works well on optimization problem with the following characteristics. So what are the characteristics that you need to have in your problem so that the greedy algorithm can work? First one is greedy choice. A global optimal can be arrived by selecting a local optimal, and second one is optimal substructure. An optimal solution to the problem is made from the optimal solution of sub-problems. Now, some examples of brute force algorithm that is also a greedy algorithm. So what these examples exactly are? First one is minimal spanning tree. There are two algorithms which comes under minimum spanning tree. First one is Prim's algorithm, and the next one is Kruskal's algorithm. Now you may have a question in your mind that what is spanning tree. I have already explained spanning tree in very detail in my graph video, so you can just go and have a watch on it. And in that video I have also explained Prim's and Kruskal's algorithm, so you can just have a just go and watch that video of mine, or else you could simply search these topics on Google and you will get a very clear understanding of how these algorithms are working and what these things actually are. Now our next type of algorithm is Dijkstra's algorithm. This Dijkstra's algorithm is used for single source shortest path. Now our next is Huffman trees for optimal including, and their one more problem is scheduling problem. Now for approximate solution, greedy algorithm for knapsack problem and coin exchange problem. Now let's discuss about each of these problems in detail. First one is coin exchange problem. So what exactly is a coin exchange problem? First I would give you a little bit of intuition and little bit of idea about how what is this problem, and then I would try to read this from the script. So what exactly is coin exchange problem? In coin exchange problem, you are given certain amount of currency notes. It could be currency notes or coin, anything. In this case I am taking about Indian currency, and you could take any currency depending on the country you are living or depending on the currency of which you are aware of. You could take anything. So in an Indian currency, the currencies are as follows: 1 rupee coin, 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 5 rupee, 10 rupee, 20 rupee, 50 rupee, 100 rupee, and then 500 rupee. So it is something like that. Suppose I have been provided with the currency of like 5 rupee, 10 rupee, 20 rupee, 25 rupee, 50 rupee, and 100 rupee. Suppose this is the like system which I have been provided with. Now someone tells me to. Now let me give you an example. Forget whatever I said right now. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are provided with one coin of 5 rupees, two coins of 5 rupees, two coins of 2 rupees, one coin of 1 rupees, and one coin of 10 rupee. And now someone says you that you have to make 15 rupees out of the coins which you have been provided with, and the catch here is you should use the least number of coins to do so. So what are the possible ways by which I can do this? So suppose I would take 2 5 rupee coin and two 2 rupee coin and 1 rupee coin. So in this case I am using 2 5 rupees coin, 2 rupee coin and 1 rupee coin. So I am using total 5 coins. But what if I have used 1 10 rupee coin and 1 5 rupee coin? In this case I am using only 2 coins. So it's better approach to use just 2 coins. So in this case I am using the minimum number of coins. So since here I am using the minimum number of coins, so this is also an optimal solution of my problem. So this is how greedy, this is what coin exchange problem does. Now how can a given number of money n be made with least number of coins of given denominators? The Indian coin system 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, 100. We can make a solution by repeatedly choosing a coin less than to the current amount, resulting in a new amount. In the greedy algorithm, we always choose the largest coin value possible without exceeding the total amount. For 40 paise, 25, 10 and 5, the optimal solution would be 20 and 20. The greedy algorithm did not give us optimal solution, but it gives us a fair approximation. Now next comes minimum spanning tree. So I have already discussed that there are two algorithms in minimum spanning tree. First one is Prim's algorithm and second one is Kruskal's algorithm. But it's very necessary to understand first what exactly minimum spanning tree means. So a spanning tree of a connected graph is a tree containing all the vertices. A minimum spanning tree of a weighted graph is a spanning tree with the smallest sum of the edge weights. Now what is Prim's algorithm? Prim's algorithm grows a single tree T one edge at a time until it becomes a spanning tree. We initialize T with 0 edges and U with single node, where T is spanning tree edge set and U is spanning tree vertex set. At each step, Prim's algorithm adds the smallest value edge with one endpoint in U and other not in US. Since each edge adds one new vertex to U, after n-1 additions, U contains all the vertices of the spanning tree and T becomes a spanning tree. Prim's algorithm uses priority queue, or it is also known as heap. If you want to know more about heaps, I have already recorded a video on heaps. You could just go and watch that video. To get the closest fringe vertex, time complexity is big of m log n, where n vertices and m edges of the MST. So now next comes Kruskal's algorithm. So Kruskal's algorithm is used to create minimum spanning tree. Spanning tree is created by choosing smallest weight edge that does not form a cycle and repeat this process until all the edges in the original set is exhausted. So first we would sort the edges in non-decreasing order cost, set T to be empty tree, add edges one by one. If it does not create a cycle, if the new edge from cycle, then ignore. What would be the time complexity of this algorithm? The time complexity of this algorithm is same as the time complexity of the Prim's algorithm, which is equals to big of E log V using efficient cycle detection. Now comes our next algorithm, which is Dijkstra's algorithm. So what exactly is Dijkstra's algorithm and why Dijkstra's algorithm is used? Dijkstra's algorithm is used for single source shortest path problem for weighted edges with no negative weight. It determines the length of the shortest path from the source to each of the other nodes of a graph. In a given weighted graph, we need to find shortest path of the source vertex H S to each of the other vertices. I am telling once again that in all of these topics, for all of these topics, I have already recorded a much detailed video. I am just revising all of these concepts here. So it is preferred for you to go and watch those videos. And if you think my explanation is not very clear and I am not able to explain things very properly, then I would recommend you to go and search it on Google. You will find articles of GFG and FreeCodeCamp and many more websites are there. Or else you could search it on YouTube, the videos of Abdul Bari sir and many more teachers who have explained these topics in pretty well manner. So I would recommend you to go and see those things. This algorithm starts by keeping track of the distance of each node and its parents. All the distance is set to infinite in the beginning, as we do not know the actual path to the nodes, and parent of all the vertices are set to null. All the vertices are added to a priority queue. At each algorithm takes one vertex from the priority queue, which will be the source vertex in the beginning, then update the distance list corresponding to all the adjacent vertex. When the queue is empty, then we will have the distance and parent list fully populated. So the time complexity is big of E log V. We have to note one thing is Dijkstra's algorithm does not work for graphs with negative edges, or Dijkstra's algorithm is applicable to both undirected and directed graphs. Next comes Huffman encoding. So what is Huffman encoding? Encoding is an assignment of bit strings of alphabet characters. There are two types of encoding. First one is fixed length encoding, also known as ASCII. The ASCII is an example of fixed length encoding, and the other is variable length encoding. Example of variable length encoding is Huffman code. Variable length encoding can only work on prefix free encoding, which means that no code word is prefix of another code word. Huffman codes are the best prefix free code. Any binary tree with edges labeled as 0 and 1 will produce a prefix free code of characters assigned to its leaf nodes. Huffman's algorithm is used to construct a binary tree whose leaf value is assigned a code which is optimal for the compression of the whole text need to be processed. For example, the most frequently occurring words which will get the smallest code so that the final encoded text is compressed. Initialize n one-node trees with words and the tree weights with their frequencies. Join the two binary tree with smallest weight into 1 and the weight of the new formed tree as the sum of the weight of the two small trees. Repeat the above process n-1 times, and when there is just one big tree left, you are done. So this is how Huffman encoding works. I hope this was clear, and I haven't recorded a much detailed video on Huffman encoding because it was not possible for me to make you visualize how Huffman encoding works. It's very simple, but it requires a little bit of calculation. So I would recommend you to just practice these things on paper, and if you are getting stuck anywhere, so you could just simply search an article on Google and have a read on it. Now our next type of problem, which is activity selection problem, and this one is very important, greedy problem, and this is very simple also. Suppose that activities require exclusive use of common resources and you want to schedule as many activities as possible. Let S be a set of activities. Each activity AI needs the resource during a time period starting at Si and finishing before Fi. The optimization problem is to select the non-overlapping largest set of activities from S. We assume that activities S equals to A1 to An are sorted in finish time F1 less than equals to F2 to Fn, and this can be done in big of n log n time complexity. Now suppose we are provided with some activities, then how we would solve this problem? First, we choose an activity that starts first and then look for the next activity that starts after it is finished. This could result in A4, A7, A8, but this is the solution is not optimal. An optimal solution is it maximizes the objective function of a number of activities scheduled. Another one is how do we find one of these optimal solution? Let us consider it as a dynamic programming problem. If you don't know dynamic programming, don't worry, my next video would be on dynamic programming only. We are trying to optimize the number of activities. Let us be greedy. The time left after returning an activity can be used to run subsequent activities. If we choose the first activity to finish, the more time will be left. Since activities are sorted by finish time, we will always start with A1. Then we can solve the single subproblems of activity scheduling in this remaining time. Now this is the last type of problem, and it has two subcategories, and this problem is very important, and it requires a very great understanding. You need to have a lot of focus in understanding this type of problems, and I would just recommend you to don't watch my video for this explanation. Although I would speak on this topic, but just because I have to explain it to you guys and speak in front of the camera and record all this stuff, but I would still recommend you to go and watch the other people's channel who have explained this topic pretty well. It's really very difficult. It's not actually very difficult, but it requires a lot of understanding to solve questions on this topic. So what exactly is this topic? The name of this topic is knapsack problem. So let me explain what is a knapsack problem. Suppose a thief enters a store and sees a number of items with their mentioned cost and weight. His knapsack can hold a max weight. What should he steal to maximize the profit? Now there comes to one subpart of knapsack problem. The first subpart of knapsack problem is fractional knapsack problem. So a thief can take a fraction of an item. They are divisible substances like gold, powder. The fractional knapsack problem has a greedy solution. One should first sort the items in the terms of cost density against weight, then fill up as much as most of the valuable substance by weight one can hold, then as much of the next valuable substance, etc., until weight W is reached. Second one is 0-1 knapsack problem. So what exactly is 0-1 knapsack problem? A thief can only take or leave the item. He cannot take a fraction. A greedy strategy same as the above could result in empty space, reducing the overall cost density of the knapsack. In the above example, after choosing object A, there is no place for B or C. Therefore, there leaves empty space of 1 kg. Moreover, the result of greedy solution is not optimal. The optimal solution would be when we take object B and C. This problem can be solved by dynamic programming. That we will see in the next chapter, or I will record next video in the dynamic program. Let me talk something. Till now I have recorded more than 20 videos. This is my 29th video, I guess, and it makes me feel really happy that I have recorded for straight away 29 days. I have taken break for some days in between when I was not feeling well, and I know these are just excuses, and I should still try to maintain the consistency as long as possible, and I will try to record one more video tomorrow. If you think this video is helpful, please hit the like button, or you could comment on the other topics which I would record the video, or else it doesn't matter if you are watching this video or not, because in my previous video I also have no views and still I am recording this video. So it doesn't matter if I am getting the result. I will still try to maintain my consistency and record videos. If I am stop recording videos, then there may be some issue, like I am busy in college, or there is some important work going on in my life. That's why I am not getting time to record and upload the videos. But that never mind. The main focus of recording my videos and uploading it on YouTube is to improve my communication skills. since there is no one in my surroundings with whom I can talk and improve my communication skills or talk in English, because no one actually knows good English here. So that's why I'm trying to record myself in the camera. Besides recording myself in the camera, I am reading a lot of stuff. So I am practicing English speaking skills by reading poems and memorizing things, and learning new words every day to improve my vocabulary. So if you watch my first or second video, and if you are watching this video, you could see a slight difference in how my speaking skills have changed. You could see a very little bit difference, but still a difference is a difference. Since I have recorded this far, I have came this far, I have made the journey. So a little progress would still be made, but yeah, let's see what happens, and where I should go in future, and what where this journey goes. And I will keep updating, I will keep recording videos. And yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much everyone. Bye bye.